I'll ask a few questions at the start that are general questions, and then we'll go from there into some meme ones. So, right, let's get started. So, Sido.
Yes.
This is what is the most shameful moment you had when PvMing?
I think the most shameful thing I've ever done was when I bought that set of Justicar or Justiceer in the early days of TOB, because back then it was the meta to tank Versic, okay? Or at least early on, people were like, okay, tank Versic, everyone T-bow it, right? The only problem with that was that people quickly established you don't actually have to tank it. You can just run away from her or step under her to properly tank her. And of course, DPS gear ends up being what people want to run. Ideally, bandos. So, me being an idiot didn't sell off my Justy, and it continued to plummet from however much I bought it for. I think it was like 1 bill to like 100 mil to whatever it is now. And that was probably the most shameful moment I've ever had in PvM. Not selling that shit. I should have. I'm Dumbo.
Right, I actually think it was when you died to me at Chaos at Hard Mode Top, but
shut up.
Okay, it's close. How do you get into endgame PvM?
So my journey into endgame PvM was an interesting one. So for the longest time, I was a leader of a social clan, and I had some opportunities to do some like high-end chambers. For one, when I was in Weeder Raids, I was invited to do ulted runs. I didn't ult myself, but my friend was ulting, and that was probably the first actual taste of what like high-end PvM was like, because at the time there was no other efficient PvM outside of solos. I wasn't much of a soloer. I think I did like a couple of solos. But yeah, that was the first actual taste of high-end PvM. Eventually, having done so much chambers, I was given an opportunity from a friend named Post Dragons, who people probably know more better as Hiimsido, the guy who made Hado P1. He asked me to pot chamber speedruns. I said, all right, I'll give it a shot. So I did the first run. I don't think I did too poorly, but the issue was that my anxiety was at such a high that I didn't want to pot anymore because I was surrounded by a bunch of people who I didn't know. And here I am with like incredibly high expectations on myself. I need to play well, and I just didn't feel comfortable on the team. Like my heart wanted to escape my chest. So I told them after the one run, I'm gonna take off the hat, find someone else. I greatly appreciated the opportunity. It's just that my anxiety is too high for this. So I wouldn't pick up on doing any speed content for a long time until Big Bob with the primer. Thank you, Bob. So the opportunity finally shows itself in the summer of, I think it was 2018. Hold on. 2018 or 2019. It might have been 2019. I think it's been, what, 3 years now? Either way, my first opportunity came to me when I got a DM from a guy named Jimmy, Mute Me. If anyone knows him, he's a fucking rat, but I love that man. And he asked me, did I want to participate in Feeder of Blood speedruns? I was like, you know, I know him. Some of the people are going to be on the team. I also know them too. So I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Now, the only thing was, at the time, I did a lot of stuff with Mogoat Kirby, who was also named Dark Lord 1A, okay? And I said to Jimmy, I will only pot the speeds on the condition that I can bring my friend Dark Lord 1A. And this was probably Dark's introduction to doing top speeds, and this was also an opportunity for him to get some good stream content. I know I gave him a hard time because this man kept reading chat and getting cucked when he should have been focused on the game, but I understand it now. When I started potting streams and doing CM5s, I understand how hard it is to jump from chat to stream, or to playing the game. So I'll give him a pass there. But here I am fucking potting on a MacBook in a hotel room because this all started while I was on vacation. But we would pot top speeds from that point forward, and I would continue to improve and improve. And we had some roster shifts. Prab went AWOL, so Jimmy ended up inviting his friend Toy Owner, aka Rabbit. I I had done stuff with Toy before, but I didn't really know him. And that was when I potted CM5s with a bunch of guys from the GMFC Discord. So that was my first introduction to Toy. And he clipped me screaming because I thought I was going to die crossing rope because I got tagged by a bunch of stuff. So that was my first intro to him. They ended up getting sub 15 before me because I couldn't participate one night. They had Jenemy. And I was kind of sad. I really wanted to get that sub 15. So I continued pushing for it. I ended up getting it with 2 of Oztob. I think it was Roid King and one other person, but I don't remember who the other person was. And then it was Propane, Toy, and me on that team. And that was my first sub 15. And I was really happy with that. Continued potting. More changes started coming in for Tob. Like you could guarantee freeze the crabs. And we started learning more and more about the rooms. So my time eventually went from the sub 15 to like a 14XX. And finally, I would join Oblivion PvM at some point. So I didn't join Obliv when I first started doing top speeds. There was some stuff that happened in the social clan I was a part of that led to me leaving. And since I was at university at the time, I didn't want to join Obliv just yet until my semester was nearing its end. So 2020, I believe May, late May was when I applied. And shortly after that, I saw something called Oblivion Diaries. My good friend Zoldan wanted to go for Diary Completionist, and he met a guy named Ostertag. So, you know, after having sent so many Tob runs, I was like, you know, sure, why not? Let's go for the 1345 time, which was the diary time at the time. And we did it. We got the time, and I was really happy with that. I hadn't set many top 5s after that. My next focus was, I think we went for top 4 shortly after, and we got that. But people don't really know me much for Tob, so we're going to start getting into the CM aspect of things, okay? So, shortly after we did that, I started setting a lot of chambers. They were inefficient chambers. We were getting like 25, 26XX. I was talking to people like Apple and some others to try to get better and better at CM5s. I was still kind of in the clueless stage, but you know, I was giving my best. Now, once Zoldan wanted to go for the diary, I think that was when I started to really want to push harder for a good time. And the diary at the time was 2300. An easy time. People see that as an easy time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Zoldan was prepping. I was doing a surge roll. And we eventually got a good time of a 2318, but that still wasn't diary. Zoldan eventually got it. He gave up on us. He wanted to do other stuff, so I don't blame him. He ended up getting a time with Deo and that crew. And from that point, I was like, I don't want to give up. I want to get this time. So eventually, I enlisted the likes of Noob Type, Coffee, Swift Steps, and Flawless. And we all came together to attempt the 23 time. We got it. I think it was a 2245. And from that point forward, I continued sending more and more runs, getting a better understanding of the content and prep. And we started getting more and more sub 23s. We started getting approached by a lot of Obliv people, to which I said, all right, we'll give it a shot. Let's go for the diary. And I started getting more and more diaries, and then there were some memes popping up in Achievement Diary, like, Deo's out of business, Sido's the new guy, and I'm like, don't say that, please. I don't want to be labeled as that. Deo is the grandfather of prep, okay? Let's get that squared off real quick. But, yeah, I continued improving. Before I did get that diary time, there was also an event I forgot to mention, and it was the moment I got egoed. So, I saw a team coming together for CM5s. And at the time, this was when I was, trying to improve. And I was invited by Apple. And I told Apple, all right, let's do this. One of the people on the team, I'm not going to name them, they said, I don't want this person on the team. Well, that wasn't exactly what he said, but he basically said, you need to unban this guy from reader raids if you want to be on the team. He did not like reader raid people at all. And I said, I can't do that because I'm a mod, that I can't, just unban people willy-nilly. So I just got ghosted after that, and I ended up doing Zara that day. use that as an opportunity to push myself even further. So that was the big motivation for me wanting to get to sub 23. And I also used that as an opportunity to get more people in the CM5s because I didn't want anyone to get screwed like I did. Because I felt like I got screwed that day. Just because of being affiliated with Leader Raids. So to that person, fuck you, you rat. Suck my dick. I'm not going to say names, but fuck you. But, yeah, that was the beginning arc. Eventually, I wanted to go for a better time. They changed the time to sub 22. I already had got the sub 22 because one day I was invited by Dio to pot Chambers with his boys. So we got a sub 22. It was me and Toy and 3 others. I think it was OG Keck, Lucid, and Piers. And I was like, wow, that was surprising. I wasn't expecting to get a sub 22. This was before the chest change, by the way. I think after the chest change, I was like, let's get a team together and hopefully go for a better time. I wanted to 130, so I enlisted my closest friends. Kirby, I decided to message him and I said, hey, I know you're a solo person, but I think it'd be a cool idea if you pot CM5s to go for a good time. He agreed. And this was also the start of me potting my streams. So anyone that started watching me in April, of course I streamed way before that on my MacBook, but my Mac started crapping out, so that was in the bin. But I got my computer. I saw this finally as an opportunity to stream. So I was like, alright, let's start streaming some attempts. Kirby, big thank you to him because he was a huge help to getting my stream to grow. He gave me a lot of tips as well for things like audio splitting, which I didn't get more into until like much later when I started caring more about my audio. But without him, without his raids, I don't think anyone would have known about me so early when it came to CM5. So, Kirby, thank you. Other than that, we got the time. I continued wanting to pot Chambers more and more, get more efficient at it, learn more about it, speak with people about my thoughts, look into gear setups and all that stuff. At the end of the day, Dio's always on top of it and he figures things out first. But that is how I got to where I am today. It was primarily through top speeds and then went to Chambers and CMs and getting deep into that. And now it's just any other piece of content if I really want to go hard at it to try to go for the diary. Because I think diary is probably one of the biggest motivators for me to want to improve. I will take the time to do it. It took me 8 months for Inferno, but you guys saw that. I didn't give up. 8 months is a long time, but we got the old diary, which is now going to be null and void pretty soon because they're making diary changes. But yeah, that is the story of how I got into endgame PvM.
Okay, so you've mentioned about Oblivion Diary already. Where would you rank Oblivion Diary in your achievements?
I think it's probably my top achievement. It's definitely the hardest achievement I've ever had in this game. There have been grinds, and some of them are RNG grinds. Those are a time commitment. I wouldn't consider them difficult. CA, I mean, CA is not necessarily hard. It's just, again, it's another grind, and you have to figure things out. And just to solve some of the harder tasks, example being like the grinder one, I made a method for that simplifies it a bit where you don't have to pray flick as hard. So, yeah, I'd say going for all the Oblivion Diaries and completing it was my hardest and my proudest achievement.
Okay. So, this was a community question, and it's still on the subject of Oblivion. So, how do you feel the way Oblivion is seen amongst the wider RuneScape community? It seems like the clan is looked down upon at times as sweat lords, and the clan as a whole is often linked with nefarious activities without any evidence, even when some of the community's favorite gameplay streamers are either in the clan or closely associated with members. Okay,
so here's going to be my opinion, and to anyone that's Oblivion, please don't hate me when I say this. A lot of the the bad publicity that Oblivion gets is kind of deserved, because for one, a lot of people say and do a lot of awful shit. There was that incident where I joined a channel, and this was during TOA release. I was in class, doing my thing, watching the stream while I was in class, and I hear an N-word get dropped in a public Oblivion channel, and I'm just like, Okay. So, in regards to racism and edginess in Oblivion, I don't want to say that's for every person. There are some people who've been vocally against it, but the problem is that nothing gets done about it. I'm not saying... I don't want to make it sound like something should get done. I know it's awful shit. Like, it's terrible, but at the same time, it's the internet. People are going to be doing and saying some dumb shit. So, in that aspect, yeah, that's... Some people are like that. I don't think everyone should be looked at on that light, though. Okay? I also understand that there's some people who might have been, like, super edgy, but they've done a very good job performing. I think everyone deserves a second chance if they really work hard to change their image. Because, you know, we're all young. We're all surrounded by people that say and do some dumb shit. It's very easy to get peer pressured. So, yeah, that's one thing. Now, regards to bug abuse, cheats, selling stuff, and all that jazz, yeah, it's very clear that there have been people who've done some very sus business. There have been some people who've been banned for it. So, in that regard, yeah, there is some sus stuff that happens. Now, regarding Inferno Cape selling, okay? That isn't all Obliv. So, the worst part is when people who buy capes get into Obliv, but I think for the most part, I think Obliv does a good job weeding out those quote-unquote cape sellers, but you never know. Or not cape sellers, cape buyers. Cape sellers, they don't care too much about. But yeah, in that aspect of sus business, yes, there are players who do partake in sus business. I don't think the CA boosting you see from 4D is bad at all. I think that's completely fine, because it's not a login job. But regarding login jobs and cape buying and buying CA tasks and having to log in your shit, I think that's bad. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. I'm not going to go talk to one of my friends and be like, I hate you because you do this, because, you know, some people need to make a living, man. Like, I'm not promoting bad activity. Don't do this, okay? But I completely understand where some people come from when they do some bad things in the game. Unless you hack people. If you hack people, you're scum of the earth, and you should step on a Lego and not exist in game, of course. But yeah, and those 2 aspects, it's just that Obliv would have to do a better job of policing that, but it's very clear that Obliv doesn't care. So yeah, I'm not trying to say like, yo, staff members, do something about this. It sucks because sometimes I get bunched up with those people, with that bad stuff in mind, but I do my best to be a law-abiding RuneScape player. I'll confess, the one thing that I did break in terms of RuneScape rules was client use, but there's a lot of people that use clients off-stream. On-stream, I was using client, but I tried to use as many ethical plugins as possible. But when it came to TOB, I will be square 100% with you guys. Nilo plugin. I had a bunch of numbers in Nilo. There's an unlisted VOD out there of me doing like trio TOB that probably a lot of people see as a trio Nilo example of Ranger. You could probably see all those numbers and shit disappearing. So yeah, in that regard, I did use plugins, but like Verzik and stuff like that. The worst thing I used at Verzik was the little name on the crabs. I didn't like using numbers on Verzik because it's like, I feel like it takes away the fun not being able to time it. But Nilo, you could complain and be like, well, what about Nilo? Having numbers on Nilo makes the room all easy. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not a supercomputer. It's very hard for me to track which Nilo is going to explode. And yeah. So that is my confession. Please do not hate me. If you hate me, I'm sorry. But those days are behind us now that RuneLite's a giant cheat client. There is one more thing I need to touch on. And it's that all of Oblivion are a bunch of sweat lords. Yeah, a lot of people I'd say are incredibly sweaty. Some people pave the new era of metas and find really cool and neat stuff. They try to perfect different things, such as like in chambers, things you can do for banking or just trying to cut time in certain rooms, like dropping your axe, or not dropping, wielding your axe, dropping a tinderbox, just so you could like spend less time at the chest. So yeah, I would say that Oblivion is filled with really sweaty people. There are some pretty cool guys that aren't as sweaty, and they're like more on the casual side, but they're still good players. But I would say a lot of Oblivion that you probably know and love are really sweaty players. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, having a lot of sweaty people, but I could see for anyone that ever wants to get into, endgame PvM, I would like to say that there's another thing with clicks. There's a lot of clicks in Obliv. I think that's a case for a lot of clans where you have like all these good players kind of sticking together and staying inside their circle, with maybe bingos being an opportunity for them to meet new people, kind of because they're forced to meet new people. But other than that, cliques are pretty big. I kind of have my own group of people, which is my stream Discord. I'm always open to meet new people though, and I'm always kind of supportive for anyone that does want to join Obliv. But I'll say this now, it's kind of hard to just join Obliv and get into a friend group unless, one, you're already in a friend group and then you join Obliv, or two, you're like some super duper pog gamer that's like a solo god with records left and right, and you end up being well known one way or another. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Obliv. I love this clan. I'm T-Board, and I love bringing new people and teaching them the ways of CM, but I'm only one guy. I do whatever I can to make the clan good. There are some people who do a hella good job when it comes to events. The staff are really good, like Coco, Toy, and the others. They do a very good job running the clan. We're just, every clan is probably going to have their problems, and some of the ones that you see in Obliv are very publicized because Obliv is the top clan, so people are going to look at it with a magnifying glass. And of course, there have been a lot of cases of people leaving and making Reddit posts or just calling out some of the issues that they have with the clan or the people. I think there's one more thing to say. Toxic players. There are some players that are incredibly toxic. Two of them are no longer in the clan, thankfully, and I hope they never do come back. But at least those are like some of the most recent cases of incredible toxicity. But I don't know. I am completely fine with people having their own friend groups and stuff, but I just don't want that clan to be toxic. People being toxic for zero, okay? There's no reason to make people suicidal over a game, alright? Like, chill out, people. Chill out. Alright, that's my rant. I hope I don't get a DM from one of the staff members and say, you're getting banned for this, because hey, I think everyone deserves to have an opinion, alright? I do my best in the clan because I want to make the clan better. But, yeah.
Okay, so me and Joe Sins have a little present for you.
Okay.
So you don't know about this.
Suck my dick,
But-
bitch.
Fuck off.
Ladies and gentlemen, sound bites will be discounted for
What
the
kind of Q&A is
30
this?
seconds Spam to your heart's content.
You guys are rats! Get outplayed, idiots! I can do that! I can take my headphones off!
Oh my god, you absolute rat! Did you enjoy that?
What's up?
I said, did you enjoy that?
No. Anyway, move on.
Yeah, thanks, Jasons, for that.
Fuck you.
Speaking of being triggered right now with the expression in your face that was on stream, what piece of content has triggered you the most?
Gauntlet. I did Gauntlet speedruns off stream. Well, of course, one of them was because a client was present at the time, and it's kind of nice to have a number to track your attacks. I did redeem myself by getting Diary again on stream, with the only quote-unquote cheat thing being True Tile on the tornadoes. But as you know now, you can put the True Tile on your tornadoes with some of the plugins, so that would be considered the only time I actually legally did it. But my PB was with client being a thing, and that was just because I had a very hard time with 5.1. I still do, and I'm still trying my best to get better at that. But that speedrunning that content is dog shit. I hate it. Only reason I went for that time was because of diary, okay? But it is so frustrating. Fighting it, you get a good prep, you go into the boss, and it feels like you're punching your hand against a brick wall repeatedly with the expectations of different results because of how tanky that boss is. It's like a 20% chance to get like a good boss on like whatever preps you run, like 20% or something. So, yeah, I shouted and screamed and wanted to punch something when I was doing off-stream resets. So when I finally got it, oh man. But there are times where I would run it, I would literally just stop potting for like 2 to 3 hours, just procrastinating watching YouTube videos instead of sending resets because of how frustrating it was. The other thing that made it worse was that I had almost gotten it when I was sending like attempts early. 515.6. 515.6. That was one tick off. And that was only because I forgot to make a extra vial. So I had to run back to the little singing bowl. So if I didn't make that mistake, I would have been done in like my first 1 to 2 days. But instead, I would spend weeks upon weeks resetting after I got back from vacation. I would talk with the likes of Priority, who is a god tier prepper, and Hugo. Not Hugo as in like, I know there's like 2 Hugos, no use, but this Hugo was the one in Obliv, with the little Elysian Spirit Shield with the mustache and the sombrero. So he helped me big time, not just with Speed Gauntlet, but this principle of opening doors to try to lure NPCs in when you don't have an ideal room was probably one of the best things for me as a person that loves doing Gauntlet now. Like, I don't like doing Speed Gauntlet, I hate that. I just like doing somewhat efficient money Gauntlet runs, like 12 fish, and trying to get a lot of KC in an hour. I still die very easily. And there's definitely a lot of things I could still improve on. But yeah, that was the one piece of content that frustrated me in more ways than one. Speedrun Gauntlet, never again, get me out. A close second would be Solo Tob, but I went through it and I didn't want to punch a wall after I was done with it. I was just screaming. So yeah.
The soundbite for Sido versus Hunnuff for him losing his sanity over Gauntlet.
No, so the backstory behind that one is, so Jaxter was going for all the CA tasks at the time, and I was like, okay, I can easily show an example of like how I go about prepping. It took me over an hour just to get a good prep. I was getting such bad RNG that night, and one of those runs, I was like, oh, I'm gonna die, and I was so close to killing it, and it's like 1 HP versus 1 HP. I kill Gauntlet boss Hunliff, and it kills me. And I just started screaming.
Okay. So, you've played with a lot of really good players in your time.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the best player that you've played with?
Okay, so there might be some bias in regards to this. And I'll say that they are a player that, if they put their mind to it, they can probably do a lot of things. I know for a fact that they kind of stick to some niches of content, which kind of saddens me. I feel like they could easily do anything in this game and be good at it. And that would be Noob Type. He's someone I've known for a long time. He was there for when I was first getting the CM Diary of Sub 23. He's been one of my closest friends, but he's an absolutely fantastic player. And it's crazy that people have been saying things like, look at him, he's the new Wooks, because of all the stuff he's done for TOA. And I'm just incredibly biased. I would probably say some shit like that too, but man's crazy. He's consistent. He's a good player. Man needs to do more content though. Stop staying in TOA, you rat. You could be a cracked Inferno speedrunner or something. I don't know. Do more. I know you can. But I know I've played with some really good players and like large giant brain people like Kirby, Toy, Dale. They're all fantastic players, but I think that Noob Type has that kind of balance of really good clicks and he's very knowledgeable about things. He can make metas work. It wasn't just a solo effort when he came up with all the TOA stuff, though. Of course, it was a team effort, talking to you, talking with a lot of different people to figure things out. But regardless, I think that he's a kind of all-around good player. Just want to see him do more stuff. Noob Dive, you're watching. I'm sorry for sucking your cock so much. Anyway.
Nayu! Right.
Nayu! 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 He hates when people do that.
So who do you look up to, and who do you look up to, or who's your PvM inspiration?
1000% Dio. Dio is probably one of my biggest inspirations. I'm lucky enough because the craziest thing is when you're inspired by someone and you're able to do something with them, talk with them. I was so lucky to be able to do shit with the guy. He's a really cool dude. He's really pushed the envelope when it comes to chambers. Of course, he also did top speeds long ago too, and he had records held. But most people probably know him for some of the stuff he does for chambers. Probably now with now that he got the TOA record for 8-man with the boosties, I hope he gets a little bit more recognition in regards to TOA speeds too. He's got a big brain. He's created simulations. Just overall good game knowledge. And again, Godfather of prep. He's one of the reasons that I wanted to get really good at prep, because I thought it was kind of cool. There wasn't too many preppers in the game. I saw that there was a lot of mystery regarding how prep was done. There wasn't really much public information how it was done. So I kind of wanted to figure out my own ways of prepping. I ended up getting some information from Deo's boys. Shout out to Nip. Nip told me this tip of considering potions from Vanguards. I was like, it's kind of hard to track maybe brews, but you don't really need to know the brews you get from Vanguards as much as you do the restores. It's just that sometimes when you got low brew count from Vanguards, you might kind of get cucked on, even if you make 3 brews. But that's also like, hey, if you take a lot of damage, you kind of get cucked anyway. So, yeah, I'd say he is probably one of my biggest inspirations. Before doing CMs, though, my other inspiration was Kirby. Me and him were in the same social clan, and it was more inspired as in a rival sense, because we kind of wanted to outdo each other when it came to stuff. But at the same time, we were kind of like duo partners in a sense, because when Duo Todd wasn't done by many people, me and him were like, we'll give it a shot. When we didn't have size, we had whips. We got to Verzik, I think, but duo whips at the time, we didn't think we could do it. We didn't have many supplies, so we didn't do it until after I got a scythe and he had a whip. We got a first duo clear. We were actually racing against Zyox. Yes, the Genshin streamer. He played RuneScape before, if you didn't know. He was a RuneScape player. He was in Oblivion. So Zyox was my competition, as well as Joaquin, who doesn't play the game anymore. So they were also kind of like dual partners in crime. But yeah, those are my inspirations, I guess. Deo's the biggest one. Before then, my rival and partner in crime, Kirby. Big inspiration.
So, what was the hardest piece of content on release in your eyes?
Hardest or more annoying?
Take your pick.
Okay. Hardest, I'd say Tob, because of all the unforgiving things about it. It was released in a state where some of the things they put in, I'm just sitting there like, how did they think this was okay? 2-tick dropping hands and the way that orbs worked at Sutexeg, which were just completely bullshit and unfair, because if you didn't know, the hands at bloat dropped 2 ticks, and the balls at Soat, you could get same tick by a mage and range attack based on how close you were to the boss compared to your teammates. It doesn't make any sense to me why that should have been the case. The big ball from Soat also was proximity based, so if you're right next to the boss, you better hope your team comes to you quickly or you're dead, because that ball would have been super turbo. Annoying. Chambers of Xeric on release demotivated me so hard. It was clearable, so that's why I don't want to say it's hard, but there was just so many issues with it, with like one patch, no chest. So many bad things about it. Like doing a clear took like 4 hours on release or some shit. I was sleep deprived because I was trying to get 90 earlier the day before, so I stayed up the whole night, passed out like in the middle of my runs. I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to bed. Then when I woke up, did the run, it was 4 hours long. I was like, Kermit John. Probably would not have wanted to pot any more chambers on release if not for day 2, where I decided I'll give it another shot with some friends because they kept egging me on. Thank you to those guys. I appreciate it. I got a Tiba day 2, and that was what made me want to do more and more and more chambers. That sole event, yes, I got spooned, but that was the reason why I potted so much chambers. If not for that, I probably wouldn't have gotten chambers early on. So, yeah, I'd say Tob on release for me was probably the hardest. You could say Inferno was pretty hard, but the problem is that I didn't really partake in that content on release. I was watching streams, and eventually in September 2017, that was when I caught my Inferno Cape. So.
Okay. Was the 500 raid hard on release for
Yes.
TOA?
It was hard. They made a lot of changes to make it easier. I'm a little disappointed with how it ended up being, because I thought that 500 and max invocation was going to be impossible. And it probably would have been impossible if they kept the prayer silent prayer or whatever, the one that's like you take a lot of damage through prayer. But they ended up getting rid of it, and they also made a lot of changes to the content to make it easier and easier. So I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping that it end up something like Telos, where it would take a long time for someone to get like the 4K Enrage done. But of course, props to Noob Type though. He was the first person to do 500, well 510, and then 500, and then wait, PlayPro's doing Inferno soon. Shit. Okay, we gotta. I need to watch this, but I need to do this Q&A. Anyway, without sidetracking anymore. Big props to him, because he is probably considered the king of TOA when it comes to raid level completions. Well deserved, of course. But I was a little disappointed. I expected it to be something like, oh, so in the future when we get better gear, we'd be able to do the higher raid levels. No, it ended up just being, eventually after all these balancing changes, anyone can do it if they have the gear for it. So, what can you do? Early though, like 500 on release was a lot harder. Now it's just a lot easier.
Okay. What got you into RuneScape?
So, the story of how it got into RuneScape is interesting. So, I had some Filipino neighbors of mine who I hung out with. His name was Fee, and he brought one of his friends over. We did a lot of dumb shit as kids, but one of his friends told me about a website called Miniclip, and I'm like, what is this site? I was introduced by a game called Robot Rage, and I played the hell out of that game, but eventually I saw a game called RuneScape on that site, and I was like, oh, I'll look into it. But the problem was that there was a restriction by my dad because I had parental controls on my computer. So until I was older, I wasn't able to really play the game. Sucks, doesn't it? Eventually, years later, I go back to Miniclip and I'm like, oh right, I remember this game. Or it was either that or I remember the name. So I was like, I'll give it a shot. So I started playing a lot of it, played mostly free to play. A lot of tears were shed in that game because one of the most memorable and scariest moment was I had a set of like iron or steel or something, like nothing too cool because I was a fucking noob. And we were traveling around Varrock Dungeon. And if you guys don't know, at low levels, the zombies are aggressive. And we went up the ladder in that one area with all those zombies that beat the shit out of you. And there's a grizzly bear. That grizzly bear is also aggressive and it was beating the shit out of me. I was scared shitless because here I am, like, I don't want to lose my stuff. Which is probably like, what, 2 to 3K in value, but, you know, I'm a kid and don't care about that. These are the items that I've been rocking for a long time. I ended up dying because my brain, after my friend who was with me killed the bear, I didn't think about teleporting out. The other thing I could have done was run away from the zombies. Just book it backwards. Nope, my brain was too in fear to even think of the solution to get out, and I bawled my eyes out. Now here's the next thing, which to this day I'm still scratching because it's so odd. My first account on RuneScape ended up going to someone else. I didn't have recovery questions, anything like that. And a friend of mine was like, I think it was like, they can help me out with doing stuff if I give them their account. And I was like, okay, sure. They gave me their account, which was members, but they changed my account password, but I could log into their account. Now, normally what you do if something like this happens and you've been screwed over is, oh, okay, so I'll just drop all their stuff. My dumbass was like, I'm going to change their password for an account that has members and play on that. Yeah, it turns out that he had recovery questions. So I got screwed out of my old account. The name of that account was Corruptac, which was the name of a Bionicle I made. But yeah, that was unfortunate. I ended up making another account and played on that account for a bit. But I think I gave that to my friend, and I made another account because I lied on my age, because I think you couldn't make an account on RuneScape at the time unless you were like a teenager. So I lied about my age. So I had to make yet another account if I wanted to play on members. So eventually, even though my account was kind of somewhat developed, RunePlate Body, which I thought was a very well-deserved achievement, or a hard-earned achievement, because I was a noob, and I thought Elvig was the absolute raid boss. I didn't have good stats. When I completed him, but I remember, I was like, you know how they like tell you about all the things you can do to make wishes and shit? I think it was like my birthday or something, and I had a balloon, and I was like praying to God that I complete Dragon Slayer by killing Elvig, and then I let go of a balloon. And I was like, I hope to God that I kill him. I ended up killing him, so yeah. After that, though, made my account, and played for a long time. I mostly skilled. I wasn't much of a PvMer. PvM scared me. I was like that one guy, Cyrus, or whatever his name is, from Dream Mentor. Probably because of all the experiences that have scarred me from Barrows, where I would like be doing Barrows with all my gear, and getting one shot by Dirac every time because I'm not looking at my prayer. It would hit me, I would panic, and then he'd hit me again and kill me. I swear to God, every time. There was never a zero. This man was giga accurate every time. So, yeah. That was such a scarring experience. The only endgame that I did in pre-EOC was Bandos. I did solo Bandos once. Ended up getting crashed by some people, and I asked them, hey, you guys want to split with me? And I think they pretty much were like, probably not. But I ended up staying around, and then we didn't get shit, thankfully. They probably would have scanned me, and I would have been even more annoyed. But I stuck with skilling as my primary moneymaker. Woodcutting and doing Grenwalls. Eventually, I would do Dungeoneering and get 80, 85. Then I'd do Frost Dragons, but never really got into endgame PvM. I was too big of a noob. I had Turmoil and Soul Split, though, but I never... another thing I need to do was bite the bullet with Bank Wealth to unlock things like Overloads.
Suck
and
my dick, bitch.
Fuck you. Overloads and Turmoil, as well as getting a Rapier, because I had a Chaotic Crossbow. So I made a lot of very unwise choices when that came to be. So then EOC happened. I played EOC for a little bit, and was like, continue skilling. But I wasn't a big fan of the art style, and I wasn't a big fan of the combat system, so I eventually said, I'm done with this game. So I started playing a German space shooter called Dark Orbit. People who dig on my YouTube channel, they're going to see a lot of old videos of me playing Dark Orbit. Yeah. I almost made it to endgame on that game, but I eventually stopped because I was kind of getting bored of the game, because my leader at the time, who was probably one of the biggest weebs that I've ever known, shout out to Poke, he quit. He was going into the military, and I think the game was kind of boring for him, so all my friends ended up quitting. We ended up doing a kind of a little regroup years later. I played for one night, and I thought I'd probably get better into Dark Orbit with him around, but nah, I'd only live for like a day, because I was going hard at Old School RuneScape, which, I've seen Old School RuneScape. I was really tempted to play the shit out of it early, but the thing was I didn't have a source of income, And I'd always have to tell my parents, like, hey, can I get membership? Because that was another thing. I would have to get my parents to get me membership for me to play the game. And that was usually done through doing good in school. So, eventually, I had a little bit of money left on my main. I gave away a lot of it to, I think, one of my friends. But I still had just a bit of money for a bond. So, put a bond on my account. I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. Let's play some old school. Late 2015 Feb, I was still in the TeamSpeak that my friends did use for Dark Orbit, and it was a channel called RuneScape. Okay? So, I joined that. I was there with two random guys that ended up being really scummy people. One of them being a botter, saying he didn't bot. He got banned for botting, though, because the lying sack of shit, you fucker. We know you botted. And the other one ended up being a scammer. But regardless, they got me into my first client too, because it's like, hey, there's this client you should join. I was like, okay. But they both got kicked out of the client very fast for being toxic people. But early on, same approach. I was doing skilling for money. But for you guys who watch Bodhi, the One Man Army series was the series that I followed to build my account for a little bit. But eventually, once you got in the red chins, I stuck with it until 25 mil Hunter XP. And I had a good amount of income, because the whole idea was to get all my items like SGS, Dragonfire Shield, Bandos, Whip, like all of those necessities. I know Ellie and other things were there too. Those were items I wanted to get over time. But I knew through Red Chins that was definitely not going to be the play for me to make all the money I needed. So I was still in the social clan at the time. I went from leader to leader. And I literally just stuck to myself doing Zara and talking to people, because I eventually picked up on Zara in, I think it was mid-June or July. And I would do that for give or take 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 kills pretty much. I did take a break after I got the Zara pet though, because that was my big goal. Whenever I do something for long periods of time, I'm like, I want to complete the collection log. How long till sub 18 with Hunter? Who knows? I'm not sure if I'm doing that tonight or not. But anyway, I would do a lot of hunting to make money. I was doing some questing. I was doing some achievement diaries in the sense. And, you know, as more and more time went by, I was still in the social clan. I was getting to know more people, because we ended up getting a Discord server for it. And I'm big on Discord, so hopped in there, you know, talking to the homies. And soon enough, I went from Zora to doing God Wars and other stuff. And yeah, I probably went a little bit too far in that question. I realized that I was supposed to talk about how I got into RuneScape, but yeah, I think I might have overstepped a little bit of what happened after I got to RuneScape.
You overstepped it, you rat.
Fuck off.
Well, yeah, you mentioned about Zora. So, what was the transition from Slayer or Zora or God Wars to raids like?
So I did end up doing all those pieces of content. Mix. I stuck with Zora for a long time, but eventually I wanted to do more God Wars, core, different pieces of content, because, you know, being in a clan and eventually moving up the ranks, I wanted to, you know, yeah. I was like, all right, we got a big raid coming out, right? It's been hyped, big hype, coming out January. The Chambers of Xeric. So we're all hyped for it. I sucked big time, because yeah, I had probably one of the bigger banks, but we were not all ready for some of the stuff we're going to see in Chambers of Xeric. Some of those mechanics were way out of this world compared to some of the stuff we see in this game already. So, you know, I started doing Chambers, mostly did in a social space. So didn't really learn about the really intricate stuff until once I did solos, which was much, much further down the line. And my first solo was 2 hours of just absolute misery. Never wanted to do another solo. But I kept going. Like a month or two later, I kept going and improving and learning more about the boss. Eventually, I would join Weedy Raids. As I was like, I saw the server in a Reddit post, and I was like, you know, well, let's see what's it about. At the time, I already had 800 KC, and I already knew a couple of things about the boss and the timing of things. So I made this document. I was like, I kind of want to know the timing of all these attacks, because I was starting to get kind of more of an idea of how ticks work in the game. So I wrote this document with different timings of all the attacks. I think it was like 11 crystals drop on your head, didn't know about Scuffed Ohm for a long time. I think Sync's video shed some light on that. I was like, so that makes sense why some things last like an extra tick and some don't. But yeah, that was kind of that transition where I had the opportunity to do it on release. I hated it. Got to Tebow, continued potting it, did a lot of it with social people. But eventually, when I was in media raids, got to meet some really good players and got to do ulted runs, which was kind of my intro to getting into endgame. So, yeah.
Hey. So, you already mentioned about your greatest achievement in game being Oblivion Diary. Is that your best achievement in game? Or what would you say is your best achievement in game and out the game? What would you rank higher? So, what in real life achievement ranks higher than the Oblivion Diary, or is the Oblivion Diary the highest achievement you've obtained?
This is gonna sound sad, but this is probably the highest achievement in and outside of the game. Maybe just because I put too much value in this game is why. I've done some things IRL, but even those things, like in-state championship for graphic design back when I was in web and print. I won that, but I don't know. I think I just value this game more than some of the stuff I've done out of the game. That's such a nerd thing for me to say, but I don't know. I love this game. I'm very passionate about it. And I love doing the things I do in this game and bringing the joy to the homies and teaching people.
So the next question is pretty irrelevant then, because you already said that your greatest achievement is your Oblivion Diary. So you pretty much don't do anything outside of playing on your computer. But
I mean, I go to the gym, but it's not really an achievement, is it? I don't know. I don't value me going to the gym as an achievement. It's more just like a grind.
Like you gain pregnancy bumps. So
at some
what is the what is your favorite thing to do outside of using a computer? That was the question I was gonna lead up to.
Outside of, I guess it'd be hanging out with some of my really close IRL friends, but we don't get to really do that too often. So I don't know. Just talking with people. Oh wait, you said outside of the computer, so no computer, no phone at all?
No computer, no phone.
I guess it'd just be hanging out with family then. Like, something I can do consistently is hanging out with family, but 95% of the time I'm on the computer.
Okay, so I understand that you enjoy your brother's interactions.
Yeah, I mean,
alright.
But before, when I was working in Olive Garden, I did meet, like, someone that I really liked, and things were kind of, they're coming together. But depression is a really terrible thing. It fucking sucks. So depression kind of killed my chances of that. And now that I look further into that, there are definitely some things I wish I could have done differently. Like, I wish I gave her more space early on instead of trying to help her. Because even if my actions, I want to help them, and I feel like that's my intention, is to help them. I realized that it probably came off as, I don't want to say creepy, but probably put more pressure on them. So, yeah. I should have just left it as is and just maintained it as that kind of mutual thing when things kind of went south. But I don't know where she is nowadays. I know she still makes art, and I think she said something recently where she was like, to the people, like on her Twitter, I'm not going to link her Twitter, of course, but she was like, hey, I'm coming back and doing some stuff again. To all those people that have been waiting on me to do my commissions, I'm here. So I'm hoping that things are, of course, getting better on her end. But yeah, if anything, it would have been spending time with her if we were still a thing, but we're not. That would 100% be my favorite thing to do. Even after RuneScape, it would probably be my favorite thing to do if I had a significant other, but I don't. So, nerd for life.
Sad times for you. If you have one newbie thing to say if you have something to say to your newbie self, one thing only, what would it be?
To myself, I would say, stop being a stingy whore and spend shit. I was such a noob, and I didn't want to spend money to make money and get better at the game. And I wish that I made better decisions instead of spending all my time doing grunt malls and stuff all day. Because if I had the knowledge I had going into old school, because as we saw, I think I had a much better entry into old school. Like, I still had that skill and mindset, but I eventually got into PvM quickly. So I wish I pushed myself harder to get into PvM to make overloads, because I didn't have the herbal level for overloads, because I was too stingy when it came to spending money. So I just wish I did a better job of knowing what I had to do instead of just trying to skill through making money, because pre-EOC skilling was not the way. Then again, I had so much fun playing the game, just hanging out with people and skilling. So yeah, maybe it wasn't too bad that I was able to, get on the game. Even though it was probably a lot of procrastinating, it was still probably good that things done the way they did.
Right. So, forgot to ask this question, but what made you start teaching efficient CMs? And in your opinion, what are the biggest shortcomings of each of the raids currently?
So I was someone that's always liked teaching chambers, because in my social clan, I obviously noticed that there was an issue that all the good players were sticking together and they weren't playing with the newbier players. This is content that, of course, you want to have good gear for it and high stats. But I was like, you know what? We need to get more people involved, because I want more people to pop with and not just the same old rats all the time, right? So I started making an effort to start teaching people chambers and started getting better at the content myself and teaching. Eventually, I stumbled upon Weedy Raids. I had 900, 800 KC on my belt. So I joined. I saw that there was a learner raid going on by Namin and Valor. And when we got to Ulm, this was probably the weirdest thing that has probably happened to Mentor at the time, because it was still kind of a small server. I think with like 1k people in. But I said, hey, and Valor, is it okay if I do callouts at Ulm? He said, sure. I did callouts, and after that raid, he said, have you considered looking into being a mentor? I was a clan leader at the time, and I was unsure, because I wasn't sure what the commitment was going to be like being a mentor in Weedy Raids and a clan leader. But eventually, I said, screw it, let's give it a shot. Ended up meeting a man named Miku, who would be my, the guy who trialed me to be a mentor, and in his words, I aced it. And I continued mentoring with people and participating in workshops, and it was really fun, teaching more and more people stuff. So yeah, I continued wanting to get better at teaching players, and there's a whole story behind me moving up from mentor to Weedy Raids to mod. Really, it was really fast. It was really fast because Jedi at the time, yes, the guy that deleted the server. Before he deleted the server, he gave me he made me a mod while things were still kind of small, because it's like, oh, there's this guy that's really good at chambers, and he's doing a very good job with helping out the mentors and stuff. So he gave me the opportunity. I was like, holy shit. I was kind of in disbelief. But I ended up becoming a mod, and helping out where I could. Eventually I did step down, though, because I had other things I needed to do. That was like years later. But yeah, those were some good times teaching them there. Now, here comes the part where you ask the question, what got me into teaching Max Fashion Chamber? Oh my god.
Welcome everyone.
I didn't mention my boy Kirby earlier when I was saying, like, that one question. Shout out again to the good for carrying my early days of streaming, because Kirby was the reason that things went kind of faster. Otherwise, I would have been like 1 to 5 views. So yeah, big shout out to the man. I would not be here streaming without him. So yeah, thank you, Kirby, and of course thank you for the raid as well. Hope your stream went well. Anyway, without sidetracking more, I got into wanting to teach CMs because there wasn't really a lot of resources for CM5s at all. I looked like far and wide, and there wasn't anything for Team CMs, and also the incident where I got egoed trying to get into CM5s, and I didn't want that to happen to anyone. I can't say ever again, because I'm only one guy. It's hard for me to be like, I want to bring this person or this person or this person, because again, I'm one person, but if I have an opportunity to bring someone in and teach them the ways of the CM5s, then I want to give it a shot. If they're willing, they've got the equipment, got the time, and the motivation, I will show them what I've been taught, because it's been a long journey trying to get all this information together for prep and chambers in general, and there's still a lot of work to do. But with what I got now, with what I know now, and my experience of teaching in leader raids, I wanted to kind of combine that in hopes to make a excellent teaching experience and show people how to be good at CM5s. I'm always trying to improve that, because I think what I've figured out is doing trio CMs at the start and showing people the ways to bank and then the procedures is good. Because in CM5s, it's a little bit more faster paced and a little bit more scary. I've tried to make it a little bit easier though, making an extra overload so you can kind of take your time between the rooms. But I also need to keep in mind, if I'm going with people that I've already taught, I really need to tell them, like, you know, slow down, because that's the issue. When I'm trying to teach in 5s, it feels like you kind of have to go fast, especially when you're going with people that already know what they're doing. But in a trio, it's much easier to kind of slow down, explain stuff, show examples, you know, walk through people how to do every little thing. And the extra overload, this is even without making an overload too, is nice. So that's why I like teaching 5 strats in trios. But yeah, TLDR, I feel like it's very hard to get into TMCMs. It's hard for me to get into it. I've learned a lot. I want to spread my teachings. I also have that mindset that giving more people that chance to pot CM5s too might show, like, the next generation of the greatest CM5ers that we don't know about yet, because, you know, I'm not one of the best players. I'm an okay player. I'm decent, but I'm not the best. Boomer clicks. There's some players that we don't even know about yet that probably are god tier gamers if given the chance, right? Some people probably know him from Hemi's stream and other places too. His name is Jackster. Oh, Fish. Probably one of the greatest players I've ever had the chance to play with. Funny dude, humble dude. Excellent. Absolutely excellent player. And I only got to really know him because I was like, hey, let's pot Chamber CM5 sometime, and I showed him some stuff. But when I did his VOD review, there was mostly nitpicking and not so much me giving him tips. So, yeah, seeing players like that who are absolutely cracked to eventually make, like, a team of, like, super gamers is awesome. The other motivation, too, is that teaching people means more people to play with as well, which is always a nice thing, because at the time when I was getting to CM5s, there wasn't a lot of people to do it with. So I was like, all right, let's start teaching people what's up. So early on, there wasn't a good process for it because we were all learning together. But now all the stuff is out there. So now it's just trying to iron all the information out to the boys. Definitely using slower approaches now that I think are better. They're much better this way. Instead of throwing people right into the fire, not good. But yeah, that's how I got into teaching CMs. So what was the second part of that question again?
Oh, man.
Sorry.
Fuck. Why do you do this to me?
Hey, you're the man that's got the list.
What is your opinion? In your opinion, what are the biggest shortcomings of each raid?
Biggest shortcomings, okay. Hob. Hob is very hard to get into. Now there's entry mode Hob now, but before then, yeah, I feel like entry mode Hob is more of an experimental playground for high-end players, because now you get to go to Verzik sooner, and most of the testing that people do with some mechanics you can relatively do even in the entry mode, like ticketing balls and shit, instead of having to do a whole solo Tob to test it. So, Tob's entry was hard. Very hard. Even when you're trying to learn it, it was pretty hard. There's a lot of stuff that could hard punish you if you're not careful, but you're kind of forced to do it because otherwise your DPS is ass. So, that's the one thing. Tob is incredibly hard to get into, but other than that, I enjoy the dynamic part of it and rewards being reactive. Quick decision making. Chambers. I don't know. I like Chambers a lot, but I'm trying to think what are the issues with it, because Chambers, in my eyes, is content that really rewards you for planning ahead. There are times where you have to react quickly, but you can kind of assemble a plan in your head of what you want to do, and you can make things happen. So you can have slow clicks and still make it work out. That's what I like about it. It doesn't have to be as reactive. Of course, there are some times where you're like, okay, this NPC died, so you have to, if you're not expecting that, then you have to quickly, swap to something like a 2-way or 4-way and then hit the next NPC. Typically happens at Vanguards. Other rooms, overkill doesn't happen as much though. But, I guess shortcoming wise, that's tough. Maybe it's how some of the rooms are compared to other rooms is one of them. Because some of the puzzles suck ass. I mean, they kind of did a better job of how the puzzles work regarding points and speed it takes to take it, but complete it. But still, I feel that there could be some things to work on it, and the importance of skilling and PvM content, where I have to cross because everyone else on my team is 5 agility. No. I think that's, for me, the shortcomings of Chambers is that. Now, TOA. TOA, I love the fact that it's, almost anyone can do it. You don't need that much gear to do it as well, which is great. It's fantastic. I love it. Able to do TOA runs with most of, if not all my friends. Even at 400 raid level, I could bring some of my friends. They don't even need a shadow. I did some with Moby yesterday. Exposed him to some 400 runs. I hope he had fun. And those went relatively smoothly. The only thing you really need is a Fang, and having a T-bow is nice, but you don't need it. Shadow is also nice, but, having at least a T-bow or Shadow is nice if you're doing the high raid levels. Otherwise, the end phase is going to be super long. FO2 is pretty solid, so I think it's fantastic with what gear you can bring for it, and just general accessibility. But the problem with it is the skill ceiling. That is the shortcoming of this raid, is the skill ceiling. There isn't much opportunity to push the raid even harder outside of adding alts to it. We've gotten to the point where now it's, you throw alts onto the content to make it harder and increase your chances of getting drops, instead of adding more and more mechanics to it. So that's the only shortcoming of it. That, and the fact that you get punished for turning on some invocations instead of if you play a bit harder, you can still make the same result happen. For example, I've spoke with Coco about this on my last podcast. It was, if you hit a medic, maybe have it do damage to, a medic swarm, make it do damage to Kefri. I thought that would have been a really interesting way of adding it, because now it's you're rewarded for having it on, because you can potentially make it a faster room or make it equal to with the best gear. Even make it better if you don't have the best gear. You could use that invocation instead and still get by in that room. But no, instead what they do is, here's swarms at speed up as the fight goes on, and it sucks in solos. So in regards to TOA, just some of the invocations definitely could have been done a little bit differently. Still room to add invocations and make changes if Jagex would please do something, please. But skill ceiling, that's probably the biggest shortcoming of TOA, is skill ceiling and just feeling dynamic from encounter to encounter, because some things can be different from run to run, but the only differences being builder placements, or some mechanics dropping certain things in certain spots, or, oh look, this is different Simon Says, monkeys and Baba waves being in different spots. That's not the kind of dynamic I'm looking for. And some of those, or at least the monkeys, I'd rather those being static. But what can you do? Am I right? What can you do?
Alright. Blame Mortal for this really long question. So, how do you feel about the combat achievements now that they've been out for a while and they've released new content and new tasks along with them? How do the original tasks compare to the ones that are recently released? And how did it affect the community skill-wise? And what improvements could you make?
It was a list of achievements that a lot of people could do with some marginal benefit, which I think was nice. There are, of course, that there's the Oblivion Diary, which a lot of people like basing their times off of as a way to gauge, like, are they good at this content or not? But it's artificial. It is artificial. Especially with some people disagreeing with some of the times, being like, oh, okay, well, sub 53 Inferno is easy. It should be higher. Now it's sub 47. Not sure how Inferno speedrunners feel about it now. But, yeah, that was an artificial way of doing it. But now we have something like you can show your helmet off. And now they've added some useful perks like double fall time, which could potentially be bad if you're doing a TOA and don't want your falls up during Akka, but what can you do? So in that aspect, it sucks. But other than that, it's an official set of achievements to show, like, you've done the content, you have some mastery at it. Some of them are relatively easy, though. Some of them are just absolutely bullshit and hard. But I still think it's good. I think it's really good. And for Inferno, I felt like it was a good way of entering Inferno and trying to get better at it. If you have like no clue how to do Inferno, it kind of forces you to get better at it. Trying to go for a sub 65. Some of them teach you like interesting wave solves too, or ways to solve it, and that can kind of transition to some of the solves for eventually speedrunning. But that's not necessarily the case with all the tasks. But some of these tasks might serve as a way to get into a piece of content and learn it. And if you want to go further, then you can. Also does help that with GM, you have 3 tasks too. So it is kind of important to do that if you want to do Inferno speeds. But all around, like, old GM tasks, great. I still don't understand why they add tasks like cough tasks, because that is just, it promotes griefing. Of course, I go and I'm one of the people that grief because chaos. And, you know, it's always nice to help out a random person that might not have a calf test. You feel me? But evil intention aside, though, still makes me wonder why they would even add a task like that in the first place, because I honestly think tasks like that shouldn't exist. I think it's a Grandmaster as well, but just, I don't know, I think it's just stupid. Now, looking at the TOA tasks, I think that on release, it was confusing as hell what you had to do for some of them, and they were bugged. I ended up completing tasks that I wasn't intending on completing, like the one for, what was it, Kefri? The one was like, you have to have Kefri and Akka up with Airstrike and other shit on. Yeah, guess what? I ended up completing it just doing my first actual GM task. That wasn't even that one. Because of bugs. It was bugged. So, bugs aside, and confusion with the descriptions aside, some of them are good, but some of them I'm not a big fan of. The Zebai Prayer one is hard. I think that one's fine, though. The Perfect Akka one seems a little absurd, and what makes it worse is you have to do it with 2 players, because they're forcing you to deal with all the different special attacks you get from it, like the white attack, but I just feel like showing a mastery of that room does not require 2 people. You should show it in a solo. I think 2 people is cringe. That's my 2 cents on it. And instead, all they're doing is promoting people to go to Noob Type's DMs and beg him for help, at whether it's pay him money or either suck his cock behind the Olive Garden. So, I think that task should be changed. At least to solo. If you change it to solo, great. Alright, perfect. But otherwise, fuck that task. What else? The 8-man task. Really wish that they changed it where you had options of doing different scales with different time sets and it would achieve the same goal, instead of having to get 8 people together and get the time. Now, from doing further research, I think that time isn't that hard, as long as you have a team coordinator of like at least 7 people who have an idea of what they're doing. But if you're going with a bunch of people that don't have any clue, it's a learning experience. I think it's fun. I was having fun doing it later on. But sometimes I want to rip my friggin' pubic hairs out when these idiots troll my puzzle. Tell them I'm taking Northwest. And then I have my boy Himi take my mirror. You fucking right. I gotta drink water for that one. Hold on. My throat's a little dry. But, like I said,
fuck you, Piers.
would have liked it if... Fuck you.
Got a bit of water.
I would have liked it if they made it where you could do different scales. Like 5-man, 4-man, with having to achieve different times. But what can you do, right? What the hell's that song? It's like kick me out my playlist or something. What the hell? That was odd. Oh, okay, we're good. That was very odd. So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents regarding the TO8 ones. Some of them were nice, but some of them were just, no, please change, thanks. If not for some of them being completed because of bugs, might have more thoughts on it. Some of them were kind of interesting, like having to do Kefri one with airstrike on. I mean, you can do it in entry mode and having that ball be slow, or not entry mode, path level 0. And having that ball be slow gives you a lot of time, because if you didn't know, path level is what affects the drop speed. Even with Insanity on, it should still take in the path level 0 speed. There are some different things that change it with Insanity. Insanity is weird, and I'll go over that in my video whenever I get to that, because video making hard. So I have to do a little bit of research. But yeah, that's my general thoughts on CAs. I love CAs. I think they're a good way to get into content. The perks are nice, but I'd like to see some more perks. Maybe being able to get a task, a free task, or spend some Slayer points to get whatever task you want once per week would be nice. Or maybe even increased odds of getting a task or a block slot. Or in instances, you have infinite cape swaps. Instances only, not so that you don't go into PvP and just like start cape swapping like a madman, because Ice Barrage and Teleblock is kind of broken. What else? Other than that, or just increase the cape swaps to like 5 or 10 or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's been something that's been asked a lot. I don't think it's necessarily game breaking, because how I feel CA tasks should be, or getting stuff from CAs, it should be stuff that you don't need it. You don't need it. It's just slightly beneficial to have it. In a speedrunner sense, you can still do Inferno speeds with Magic Cape. But instead, you only get to do a couple of them. But now it's like, you can do it more, or you can do it infinitely. So, I don't know. This is more for endgame players, because your average Billy Bob Joe isn't going to go into a Chambers with Mage Cape swap. So, yeah, it's more of an endgame thing. Maybe it'll have some crazy use for, general use of your 99 magic. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents on it. No, Insanity does not make it level 2 speed by default. I thought it did, but I think I was doing some testing with airstrike on, and it was still slow as shit. Because I think it's like 5 ticks for it to drop.
So, are there any armors, weapons, jewelry, or anything item-wise, like an item in your inventory that would serve as a purpose, like a bone crusher, that you'd like to see added into the game?
An item that serves as a bone crusher?
Yeah, is any item or armor or jewelry that you'd like to see added to the game?
That I'm aware of, no.
Easy. What are the bare bones plans for the ult to GM max combat achievements? No spoilers.
I'm gonna tell you my plans, but I can't spoil anything. Basically, it's just gonna be a rush. So, just trying to rush to endgame as soon as possible. I will spoil this. Common route nowadays on Iron Man is to rush to CG. That would be the plan, is to rush to CG. So, that's gonna be the early parts of it. A lot of CG. And eventually learning how to do content with lower end gear, because if I want to get Grandmaster as soon as possible with low end gear, I'm going to have to learn how to do stuff like Inferno speeds of a Bofa. Who knows? Maybe I could do it with different equipment too. Like maybe Missouri Blowpipe is still fine, but no clue. I'd have to look into that. And there you go.
Right. So, if you had to design a new skill, how would you design it for all accounts to enjoy, regardless of their account restrictions?
I would add something like Invention to RS3, because with Invention, it's something like at early levels, you could still have the same perks that you would at higher levels, but with less benefit. I think Invention is a great way to sync items in the game and allow for you to add some really cool and niche perks to your weapons. For example, right? What if you had something that you have a chance to max something, so crit, pretty much. That'd be kind of cool. It wouldn't be game-breaking, And I would probably not have it for PvP. So primarily PvM, unless there's some perks that'd be kind of cool to have for PvP. I gotta play a song in the middle of this. Are you joking me? Anyway, yeah, I would say it's a nice way to, modify weapons, make them a little bit stronger. And as more and more time goes by, you'll have like your own personalized weapons for like different things. Because maybe you want to have, it might end up where you buy multiple weapons to have different perks on them. Because it wouldn't be easy to get perks on them. You'd have to kind of grind for it. Don't want it to be super RNG fest though. Because I've seen what it's like grinding for certain calibrations for weapons in games like Terraria, where you'll literally be sitting there on hours on end, using up like gold and platinum to re-roll your weapon. Just to get different attributes on it. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of killing, takes a lot of grinding. But with this, I want it to be where good way to get rid of a lot of items in the game. I know we have GE tax, but always nice to still have some to get rid of items. And on top of that, give you some interesting choices for modifying your weapons to do different things. Such as, crossbows maybe have increased chances of bolt procs. Save charges on weapons like your blowpipe or your scythe, etc., etc. Like, there's endless possibilities you could go with invention. So that would be a good skill to have, because early on, you'd still have things that you could use to improve your weapons. It's just later on, as you continue leveling, you'd have even more improvements on your weapons. I just don't want it to be game-breaking. It should... Of course, I want it to where your DPS output will be higher, but I don't want it to be anything too game-breaking, like at most maybe like 5% increase. Maybe I think 10% would be a little too high, or maybe at early levels it'd be like 5%. I don't know. There'd have to be a lot of balancing in that sense, but I think that'd be kind of a cool skill to have. With them asking what kind of new skill we'd like, I'd like to see something like that. Of course, there's other rooms for skills like archaeology, divination. I think the R3 skills are just really good base points, except engineering. Dungeoneering should not be a skill. It should be a minigame. Case closed. But yeah, that's what I think should occur when it comes to a new skill. Very accessible that way. If you do, as time goes by, you get access to better versions of the upgrades.
Okay, so if you weren't playing RuneScape today, what is another game that you'd be playing just as much?
Probably Destiny 2, to be honest. It's a game I still follow to this day. I watch a lot of Destiny 2 videos from Dado. I know Hunter Owner fucking gives that game so much flack because he hates the PvP in it, but I'm more of a PvE player, so yeah.
Alright. What made you want to start YouTube?
So, what made me want to start YouTube? At first, I wanted a way to kind of document my my achievements. That was the main thing why, and eventually I wanted to document some of the stupid shit that happens on my stream. So early on, I was doing a lot of highlight videos, but those didn't get too many traction, which kind of sucks because I put a lot of love and effort into those. And I think those videos are just funny. If you guys ever want to see some ancient history, some of the stuff like Chaos at Hard Mode Top and some of those sound bites you hear are excellent ways to show you the history of what has happened on this channel. A lot of highlights, because there's some goofy shit that happens. Nowadays, I don't really do as good of a job when it comes to clipping it, because it's just I have other videos I want to make now. As time went by, I wanted to make more guides regarding CMs, because again, I felt like there's not too many resources out there, so I want to have a public resource video format, because people like visuals more than a giant wall of text. Of course, you always have to actually practice it, do it in practice, like execute it. It's also one way to practice it, because I have to do that. Even if I watch a video, I need to practice it that way. But I think a good base point is having videos. So I made one for Ice Demon, and I made one for banking. Those videos took me a very long time of research and getting footage and asking for help and all this stuff. So there's a lot that always goes into making those guide videos. But I always love making guides. They're just a hassle to make. That's the only thing. It takes a fuckload of time. I will eventually get to making more guides in the future. I have other stuff I need to make. Another thing that's nice about making these guides.
Suck my dick, bitch.
Drink.
Anyway, another nice thing about making these guides is they're an opportunity for me as a player to learn, to ask questions, because I normally didn't think too much about how to improve my Chambers banking until after I made that banking video. So yeah, that's what I started doing. Was the banking video actually helped me big time with learning how to bank better, because I already had a basic principle of it, but I didn't have a strong understanding of it. The Ice Demon one also taught me some cool things about Ice Demon, which I didn't know about, which is kind of nice. Something regarding where if you have a shitload more kindling in the brazier, it burns faster. And there's some other things too that I think I messaged Dio about. I think like it's on a vortex cycle as well, ends on a vortex cycle. The fire dies in a vortex cycle. Just a lot of different things. It's cool. Cool stuff. But there was another thing with like Ice Fiends attacking it on a different attack rate or something. So yeah, that's always a nice thing about making guides. An opportunity for myself as a player to improve and go deeper into something. The Warden's Guide, I haven't really done much video editing for yet. It's literally just been script stage, because I always end up with more and more questions. I'm very thorough when it comes to making guides. I don't want to ever release stuff without having... I know it's a lot of information overflow, but I think when it comes to advanced guides, these are guides that aren't meant to be taken in one, like one swallow. Like, it's a giant pill. You're supposed to take it in, like, small bits. Maybe come back to it. Of course, when it comes to, like, those simple, like, 1 minute, 2 minute guides, I think they do a very good job teaching, like, the bare bones of stuff. But I always like going really in-depth with things and teaching people things they might not know about, because, hey, maybe you'll learn something that you didn't know about, and I like showing people that too. But, yeah, it originally was, like, video making for me was a way to, at first, make highlight reels and make people laugh, or just documenting my progression as a player. And nowadays, it's still showing that progression as a player, but now I have more of an emphasis of trying to make guides, as well as also talk with other PvMers too, because I love PvM in this game. And that little podcast thing that I've been doing a lot of episodes for lately, it's been an opportunity for me to talk with various PvMers of different backgrounds. Some who might not be well known at all, or some who might not get the opportunity to do it. And, you know, ask them a couple questions, see their thoughts on the game. Some of the questions might be a little bit repetitive, but there's some questions that some of them, like, let's say Coco, might be able to answer, because guess what? They're the master of the sheets. So it's kind of nice to have people like him, you know, talk about all the cool and interesting things he does with Excel sheets and such. So yeah, that's the primary thing for video making. Just showing what I've been able to, accomplish. Show more information about stuff. Talk about my thoughts on things. And talk with other people as well. But yeah, there is one more thing that I want to do kind of more with video making too. So as a fine arts major, I learned a lot about video making in university. So I've been trying more and more to apply what I've known from those classes and to get better at it. And these kind of little movies I made, with the first big one probably being the Road to 600 Data Clear, with Noob Type being the main focus of that video. It's an opportunity to make kind of like a documentary style video. I think making videos like that are really cool, and I plan to make some more in the future. I already have like 2 big ideas. One of them I'll spoil, and that's the one with Effect. Originally, I want to do kind of the video series with Effect, but I think too much time has passed that I want to make this giant movie showing the progression of a player from noob to kind of end game. He's not end game in a sense of like, oh, he's a super sweaty elitist player now, but he's got most of, if not all, the end game gear he needs, and he's just by far someone that has grown the show. He's a solid player who has wowed all of our expectations. He got Inferno done so fast and has made so much money. So it'd be kind of cool to make a video to document that. So I want to get more into doing more documentary style stuff to show progression of other people, or the progression of certain grinds, or learning about stuff. Just there's so many things I could do with it. But yeah, that's kind of what I want to do with video making, and that's why I got into YouTube. I think YouTube is kind of nice. It's a grind. Streaming is, I don't want to say it's easier, but with streaming, you don't have to sit there for hours on end writing a script unless you're, giving it to someone to read something off. There is some planning for some of the meme streams I've done, like the charity stream being the biggest one for planning. Thankfully, everything for the most part went through like I wanted it to. Thank God, because that'd have been a nightmare if things fell through there. But yeah, it's a lot easier to just jump on my chair, get some music going, say hi to the boys, because I love streaming. I love streaming a lot. But I also like making YouTube, and I love making videos. It's just those are a bigger challenge and more of a time commitment.
Right. So we're now on the best section of the vid. So if anyone in the chat wants to submit a question, just send it in the chat and I'll read it off.
We need a progression of Coop's Inferno Cape vid, so never, right?
Whoa! The flame!
I'm kidding.
This
He'll
guy.
get it if he actually plays. He just doesn't play.
This guy.
He made it to Zuck, so he could actually get it if he wanted to, but he doesn't care.
Okay, so let's start off with the meme questions. Right, so what's your favorite meme and most hated meme?
Fuck! I remember we spoke about this and I forgot.
Axe.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you, remind me. Okay, so for me, I think the axe meme, where I've axed so many NPCs and have died to it in chambers, is my favorite meme. Not in a hilarity standpoint, but like kind of a message standpoint, because I call my Discord the tool shed because, I have all the right tools, but I use them wrong. And the whole idea of my stream is that I int hard so you don't have to. You learn from my mistakes. So I liked that meme of me doing it, because it wasn't intentional, of course. I axed Ice Demon on accident. And then I axed Mudadial because I hit my start key instead of my shift key, and I died. And that was on my 2000th raid. And that will forever haunt me for the rest of my life, where my 1000th raid is always bad. Why wear a hat? Because my hair's a mess. That's why. That's the only reason. I was in a rush to get to the stream today because I overslept. I woke up early, went back to sleep. I was like, I have plenty of time for 3 o'clock. Wake up and it's like 2:40, and I'm like, so.
You didn't even answer my call!
What?
I called you multiple times.
Bro, you can't wake me up when I'm asleep, bro. That's all I can say. I'm not like you. I don't wake up to calls. I'm just hard asleep.
I can't believe you. I can't
Should have
believe
asked
you.
Dimitri. Anyway, where was I? So, in that sense, that is my favorite meme altogether. Now, in a hilarity standpoint, probably just the entirety of KL said hard mode top. I know it's like a highlight reel, but some of the shit that has happened in that, you cannot recreate. Coop getting zapped fucking 9 times. 9 times. You just can't remake that. Literally, the Jagex God said, this man will forever be known as Coopium. Let me put a quick Coopium in chat for anyone that haven't ever seen it. Probably one of the greatest creations I've ever made in my in the Photoshop, but that's just beautiful. But so many memes, so many sound bites, so many laughs, and just so much chaos happened in that. There's so much inting and just hostility between one another. But yeah, all around, probably one of the greatest memes of all time was that. Who knows, maybe another series of Chaos Elements will come back, but you never know. Is there an origin of calling people rats? If so, where did it start? I don't know. I think just one day I just started calling people rats. Just people just being like, you've heard the term rat before. It's not a good word. Like, rats is bad, right? You don't want to be a rat. But eventually, I guess I continued writing on that whole rat word, and now I've made rules in my Discord where if you hang out long enough with me, you'll end up turning into a rat. Giga rat bastard. Despicable rats. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, we just started calling people rats. I think Nevi asked the question of why rats and not cats. It's because Cats, for most people, are genuine animals that you love being by and probably will rule the world one day because of how cute they are. They're good creatures. Rats are not. I mean, some people have rat pets and they like them, but general consensus, people would prefer cats over rats. So that's why we do rats instead of cats.
Ditto's the most despicable rat out of them all.
There, I've squeaked. All right.
Right. So, when are you cooking your next omelette?
I don't know if we have eggs right now, but whenever we have eggs, maybe I'll do one. I've been cooking egg sandwiches a lot recently because, the thing with egg sandwiches is that you cook like a sunny side up egg, and you'll bite into it, and the yolk just oozes all over the sandwich, and of course it makes a mess on the plate. But the good thing is you could just use the bread to just collect it on the bread and just eat that, and it just it comes out. It's so good. So who knows? I'm just really into egg sandwiches right now for breakfast. I cook a mean one.
All right. So we all know you can't cook properly, right? I mean,
Fuck off.
you've
I'm
given
trying.
us. I still can't cook.
Fuck
I mean,
you.
you're giving us like a partially raw beef burger. You know, you've given us some weird looking pizza that doesn't even look like a pizza.
I redeemed myself,
So,
asshole.
Wait. But the question's not even done yet, so hold your horses. Will you ever learn how to cook properly? And why are you so scared of kicking chickens? Like, it's a chicken. It's not gonna go at you and scare you.
Fuck off.
Guys, we've lost him. Seems like he's
fucking
been
Toy
abducted by
Payroll,
NASA.
You're fucking Toy's payroll. Fuck you, Toy. You fucking sack of shit, bro. This man's fucking toxic, bro. Swear to God, ever since that fucking incident or that fucking story where I fucking threw away the chicken because I didn't want to cook it and die, his man will not leave me alone, bro. He was adding me with pictures of chicken. He was like, you see this? You see this chicken? Cook it. This guy, he's a monster. He is not supportive. He's an absolute demon, alright? He's a fucking demon. He has a cute rabbit picture. You wanna know why? Because he wants to hide how he looks like a fucking demon IRL, bro. People look at him and they're like, oh, look at this fucking rat bastard, bro. Absolute despicable. He's a dick demon. He's a dick demon. There. To answer your question, maybe I will do a cooking stream with chicken, and my grandma will be with me because I know for a fact she will not kill me. So having her
You
beside
rat!
me,
Cook it on your own!
yeah, how about you fucking cook this dick, idiot? Next question.
Well, you don't have one.
Next question.
What is your favourite food and why is it smash burgers? Well, you clearly can't cook burgers, so you have to make someone make it for you.
I've tried to cook smash burgers, but smash burgers are fucking hog.
But you can't make them.
What the fuck? You're that scared you need... Are you actually flaming me right now, Nevi? Are you fucking joking me? You need help? Yes! I want to make sure I don't put salmonella on my mouth. Hello? What, you want me to just die? You want me to just end up dead? Is that what you want, Nevi? I'll die if you want. Let me go cook a raw chicken real quick and die. Alright? You don't see my rat ass on stream anymore. I'm just trying to play it safe, okay? That's it.
What?
Is there any...
Okay. I mean, you're scared of necks and she's a chicken.
I'm not scared of necks. I've gotten her pet like 5 fucking times now, dumbass.
Yeah, but you're still scared of raw chicken.
Anyway, shut up.
Yeah, so much you have to chuck it in the bin.
Shut the fuck up.
You're scared the raw chicken's gonna run at you or something. What's going on?
I swear to God, if I... You this? See this? See this chicken? Your lucky noise suppression's on, because I would fucking squeeze it, and you'd fucking hear it on the mic, you fucking rat.
That was off your ass.
Fuck you. Anyway, back to the main question.
Right.
Smash burgers.
So,
I like smash burgers because they taste good. At first, I used to not like burgers until one day I had to eat something at the airport. I guess when I was younger, I didn't really like the taste of it, but probably because my mom, every time she tried to give me a burger, it tastes like shit. She cooks good burgers now, though. Anyway, ate a burger at the airport, and I was like, this is actually pretty good. And eventually, there was this one place that my brother used to talk about all the time called Five Guys. I was like, alright, You know what? Let's get some Five Guys. I had a Five Guys cheeseburger. My God, it was the most heavenly experience ever having a Five Guys burger. Never thought I'd like it. I loved it. I was addicted to it. And since then, I've been a big fan of smash burgers. Just something about the taste and the combination of flavors from all the different things you can add in a smash burger is what I love about it. And I know there have been people who cook burgers. If you ever watched First We Feast, I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. He's someone that shows like a lot of different regional burgers. But he does a very, I think George Motz, I think his name is that. I might be mixing it up, but either way, he always talks about how the importance of the burger isn't necessarily like the toppings and stuff, which is why I don't think he uses ketchup too often. But it's more about the patty. So more about the patty, which I guess in that sense is true, but can't argue having a bunch of stuff on something tastes good. So there you have it. That's why I love the smash burger.
I mean, you like smashed burgers with how you did it. You completely ruined it. So,
okay, listen here, Gordon Ramsay. You can't cook shit either, fucker.
Oh, I can definitely cook better than you.
Suck my
How
dick.
many licks? How many licks does it take for you to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't have a Tootsie Pop with me right now to demonstrate it on stream, but you lick it 3 times and you chomp into it, and there you go.
What's your favorite crayon flavor?
I want to use the one that Jimmy used. I thought it was hilarious when he said green and he said that's colored peanut butter. And I was sitting there like, I understand he's colorblind, but how does that mean he can't see if it's moldy? Does he eat moldy peanut butter? Kidding, of course. He probably sees mold in a different color. I don't know.
So, why do you like going to the laundry machine? Well, for me, at least, it seems like you just want to drown your sorrows down there. I'm stuck, step bro. I'm stuck, step bro.
Okay, so the reason why I like going in the laundry machine is because of the whole step bro meme. And I'm stuck, and I need someone to help come get me out. That's why. I just love doing some really stupid shit, and that's one of them, to make people laugh. Never expect me to do some dumb shit. Well, people are expecting it now, because I've done so many times.
Right, seeing as you've showed that, and you've got some sussy shit going on.
Yeah, people call me Step Khalifa right now.
How does your cock regenerate so quickly, because it keeps falling off?
Who said it's regenerating?
Toy help. That's your question.
To answer your question through the power of rattiness, I've broken the rat barriers of time and space, where I can rewind time to get my cock back. There you go.
All right. So, when is Hiimsido Khalifa going to be making their appearance on OnlyFans?
I have a Shaman Hub page. But
Yep,
it's not live yet, so it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Right. So, which side of the bed do you sleep on? Which side do you leave for Jackster?
I always sleep, if possible, like in my own bed. I always sleep on. I think it's considered the right side. When you're looking at a bed, what would you consider the left and the right when you're looking at it from? You're farther away from like the back part of it. What would be the left and what would be the right side? Because I want to make sure I'm not getting this wrong. Do you know what I mean?
You're being a rat. Answer the question.
I'm asking you a question. I don't know. I said right, but I'm not sure because like.
You know what? Bring up paint. Draw it for you. Draw it for us.
Okay, so
right?
alright,
Yeah,
this is
my name is Sido. I have an
look,
artistic
this is the
nature.
bed, okay? This is the
Blah,
bed. Shut the fuck up. Alright, this is the bed. This is the back. The hand is my back, okay? I sleep on this side. Like on this side. This side, okay? So if the bed's like this is the side I sleep on. There. Best way to demonstrate it.
So Jax is sleeping on the left.
And sure, if you
Oh,
want
the
to come
right
over.
then. The right then. Okay, well, I think you should sleep underneath him. You could be like the bed gremlin. Right. Let's see.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, you can always sleep in the cupboard as well. That's fine. What's your favorite position to play RuneScape in?
I'm sitting down, but sometimes I don't know why it's hard for me to sit still. So sometimes I'll sit like this. I'll sit like this. Sometimes I'll sit like this. Sometimes I'll sit like this even. Or I have my feet on the desk. But most of the time it's like this. So I'm usually sitting like this, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to sit still. Blame it on the ADHD.
Your favorite position, dumbass?
This is it right here.
Wow.
So sitting normally.
Okay, I see. Okay, is Jizzy good?
No, it's bad.
How do you know you've never had it?
Have you?
I'm answering that question. You're the one being put on the spotlight today.
Yeah, well, guess what? I can do whatever I want into my stream. Answer the question.
Sorry, I'm the host in this scenario. You
I'm saying, dude,
me.
this man told me he was going out for milkshakes with his brother last week. I know exactly what he means now. All right, next question. I think I've answered that for everybody.
Okay.
I hope Zoe heard this, dude. Zoe's not gonna be happy with you.
That's all good. She's asleep. Why is Whiplash your favorite movie? I want deep details.
Whiplash, I like it because it kind of reminded me of an experience I had in the paint studio. My teacher wasn't as volatile as the teacher in that movie, but the experience was similar where I was trying my hardest, even if it meant like staying awake for hours upon hours upon hours on end to get paintings done. And even then, I wasn't able to produce some of the most god-tier paintings of all time, but I still was like kind of happy with it. It was probably one of the hardest third seasons of my life. Now, regarding the movie itself, I like the story behind it. I like that kind of idea of, like mentor to student and teaching someone and trying to push them to their limits. Now, what he did in that movie, you can kind of argue that it was a little bit over the line because he's throwing symbols at him. He's being incredibly abusive with the intent of trying to create one of the greatest drummers. And I enjoyed watching that movie. It really makes you ask some questions of like, is there a point where you should stop trying to push people to better? I always have a mentality of trying to push people, but I try to be supportive. I will always, point things out and be like, you could have done this, you could have done that. But it also depends on like what people's end goal is. If they're trying to go for like a certain time, I will, push them to as hard as I can until they get that time. And maybe if they're trying to go for like an Inferno Cape, I'll try to teach them the things that I think will make their time easier. But if they're trying to go for a speed run, that's kind of out of my jurisdiction, sadly, because at best I can give you sub 65. It helps Shane with that. So I can at least say I was able to help someone with that. But if you're trying to go for a sub 47, that's out of my ballpark. There's Inferno people for that, and I'm not one of them. So, yeah.
Okay. Who's your favorite person to make fun of when they mess up in PvM?
You.
Or just
You.
in general?
You, 100% you.
Oh my god.
Behind that, it'd be Gigan, and then before that, Himi. In that order.
What the? Why me?
Why you? Because you're a fucking rat. And it's so late. Oh, okay. Hold on. Problem is I don't get to do shit with him very often, Joe. If I did more PvM with OKG 1,000%. But because I don't do enough with him, Piers, even though it's kind of burnt, did pot with something with him recently, and I was fighting the shit out of him. And then Gigan, Himi.
In terms of pushing, you're pushing me into the washing machine.
That's not the only person I'm pushing, bro.
Ooh. It was interesting. Oh yeah, I also trapped you in the ice prison, which was great. So
Yeah,
I'll
fuck
take
off.
that. And killed you at Castle Hobmaton. I'll take that as well. Right.
Killed you,
So
you dumbass. I didn't even have to do anything. You died to me just for a blowpipe out and you killed yourself, idiot.
rat. So Shane asks, "Am I your favorite?"
No.
Shane's not your favorite.
No.
Oh wow, Shane, my guy. Send
No
some
matter-
rap messages to
Listen,
Fido.
okay. No matter how much of a fucking rat this guy I'm talking to is, you have to understand this guy has been a fucking absolute rat in my DMs for ages, and he will probably be my favorite of all time because Hero doesn't play this game anymore, and he's ditched us to date his very nice and fascinating person. I still love Hero though, but I just don't get to see him as much. Hero would have originally been my favorite though, but me and Piers now, homies. Kidding, of course.
G,
I
remember the
love my
lamppost.
homeboys though.
G, remember the lamppost.
The lamppost.
Right. Right. So be careful how you answer this question. Who's your favorite We Do Raids mentor?
My favorite We Do Raids mentor.
Yeah. He's in the chat.
Wait, who?
Toy.
He's not a mentor, you fucker!
He was. I'll take it.
No, he never was! He was only a mod!
Toy.
Saw? Bro, Saw fucking flames the shit out of Blindy. I would fucking pay so much money to just watch those two fucking flame each other all day.
Let's see who you've got.
My favorite mentor would be someone that probably a lot of people don't know, but Miku, aka Dot, will always be my favorite. He was the one person that passed my trial. He was someone that I spoke a lot about when I was creating some of my earlier documents regarding like public information for Chambers. So, Miku, hope that he's doing all right because not sure what he's up to nowadays. Doesn't play the game anymore though. I miss him. He's also one of the first people from RuneScape I met IRL. Him and Hato I met together, and we went to New York to meet up with some RuneScape brats as well. So, it's I had to say my boy Miku.
Commiserations, my guy Lucky Clover. You are not the one. What is 9 plus 10?
11.
This guy. Right. I think you already answered this, but who's the worst PvMer you've played with?
You.
Argue I'm one of the best, but okay.
You're the fucking worst. Now, I typically don't mind playing with people who are trying to get into the game and learn more. But this isn't like necessarily a person. I think probably have some stories of people doing this. But the worst kind of person to pot with is someone that isn't willing to learn when you're trying to teach them something. Not even like endgame PvM as a whole, but when you're trying to give them like, actual suggestions to improve at something, like let's say top P2, and they just downright ignore your suggestion of learning with a whip and going to Steel Dragons to practice the timing, that upsets me. And that's the worst type of PvMer right there. People who don't want to make the effort when you're trying to put the effort to help them. Yeah.
So, seeing as you said what makes a bad PvM, what makes a good PvMer? You can only give meme answers, right?
Meme answers?
Yeah, you can't say anything that's like straight up.
Who's a good PvMer?
Good. Yeah, what makes a good PvMer?
OKG. I say right now, if you want to be a good PvMer, step 1 is turn on every single plugin that you can find in the sidebar. Like every single plugin. Rave, anything. OKG does a fantastic job showing what a top tier PvMer should be. If you're not doing what OKG does, what the fuck are you doing with your life? You're a terrible PvMer. Dog shit. Absolute dog shit. You should take notes from the god himself. OK fucking G. I even have OKG tatted on my dick, but I can't show that on stream because I get banned. So there's your answer.
It's going to be a fun one. How do you truly feel about your brother? I mean, he's doxed you once already. Oh, when's the second dox going to be?
I don't want to be toxic about my brother on stream, but get ready to be like, what the fuck when I tell you guys this. My relationship with my brother has been a very unfortunate one because when I was younger, I really loved him, but he didn't really love me back. So he was really annoyed with me when I was younger. Nowadays, it's like the other way around, where he annoys the shit out of me. But the main things that really have irked me in my relationship with him is, one, the way he talks back to my mom. He even called my mom a bitch, and that has stuck with me since, because I'm a mama's boy. I can understand being frustrated with people, but the fact he called my mother a bitch just did not sit well with me at all. We got into a fight one time, and he nearly strangled me to suffocation. My mom had to break between the both of us to not have that happen. And yeah, since then, it's just my relationship with him is I tolerate him, but I don't see him in the same light that I once did when I was younger. So, yeah, I'm sorry if that's a very hard pill to swallow, and I know this is the meme section, but yeah, my relationship with my brother is not good. He annoys the shit out of me. I don't know.
I mean, you've swallowed bigger things than pills, so.
Yeah, I swallowed cock. I mean, what?
Hey. So, Dokien asks, are you single? If yes, are those DMs open?
I am currently single. DMs are open. Fucking A.
Alright, so, guys, Sido's Discord tag is Sido #3201. Please send him some messages. His DMs are open. He's looking for some love. Yeah, you could send him some Charmin cocks.
Jeet instantly sends me a message, bro.
You can send him this.
I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for Jeet's lamppost arms, okay?
Here you go. Please send some love to Sido. He is currently single Pringle, ready to mingle.
God fucking
right.
damn it.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I know you worked hard for those Jeet.
Right.
What the
where
fuck?
do you hide?
Mortal sent me a horse. This man legit sends me a fucking horse, like a fucking walking horse, bro. That's not how you win someone's heart. What the fuck?
Right, where do you hide your cats from rats?
My cats from rats?
Yeah.
I don't have any cats in the house. Sadly.
Never lucky.
And
Right.
I don't know if I know anyone who I would call a Discord kitten. I don't know. Well, there's one
Right.
person, but just because they're a cat IRL and they meow.
So, Divine Daddy asks, when will he receive a moderator status in your Twitch chat?
As long as Emil is a mod, never. Can only be one.
Never lucky, man. Alright, Noob Type asks, if you were to breakdance, what would be your b-boy name? B-boy Sido or something else?
Young Sido, probably. That was my old RSN was Young, YUNG, and Sido, because Sido was taken. So I just put Young. Like a fucking shitty SoundCloud rapper.
Sido, I don't think that's the right way to say your name. But,
Shut up,
you know,
bitch.
if I use Twitch, text to speech, it comes up with something a bit different.
Side hoe?
There we go.
Fuck off.
You even know.
Fuck off! Such a dog shitter, bro. Yo, no, I'm gonna say what you said. You're a fucking dog! A dog!
Wait.
I'm about to leak the audio on stream, bro. I'm about to leak it. Say I won't. I will.
Go ahead. You know what? I think it's personally quite.
I'll do it. I'll have to do it another time because the problem is I have to set up the audio shit for it. Because fucking
fair.
cringe audio shit on things.
Right. So I've got this to show you. So this is we'll wait for this to finish.
It didn't say anything.
Sido.
You're trolling!
Sido.
No, it says something. It broke. Alright, go.
Right, why is bloat so sussy?
Bloat so sussy? Because he got them... Yo, have you seen how thick bloat is, bro? And the amount of holes that he has? Some fucking rat's gonna want to stick his dick in bloat.
That's definitely you.
No! I'm gonna stick my dick in you, fucker.
What? I mean...
Alright, you know what? I'm coming out. Hold on. I'll make this special. Yo quería comer tu corazón. Y cuando yo terminar, yo quería comer tu pene. Por favor, Percy Wersy. Te amo muchísimo. Yo quiero tú en mi vida. Por favor.
You know, I'll just... No me gusta Sido's chorizo.
¡Pendejo!
How long till sub 18 with Hunter Roder?
I'm not potting that tonight, bro. I've lost enough hairs talking to you to pot sub 18 tonight with that fucker. I gave him a time, I gave him a day, and he ghosts me. You wanna know what he says? I was asleep. Well, guess what, bitch? I was almost late to the fucking shoutcast bullshit of me watching the Jagex thing earlier today. I was still on time. I mean, my hair looks like fucking shit, but I'm still on time. That's my response.
What the? My guy.
What am I hearing?
Victim. Wow.
Right. That's all the questions, unless someone else has another question to ask Sido.
Is that all the questions in the channel too?
Yep, I've got add ones from my
Hydrate up,
DMs.
bitch.
Your questions, I already said your question, Joe. That was your Smashburger one.
Did he ask another one? No, he did. He did, Joe. I said, I love Smash Burgers. It's so good. Yeah, you missed it. What the fuck?
And I said that he can't cook burgers anyway.
I think there's one question you forgot to ask.
Which one?
Why am I the way I am?
I think, okay, you know what? Sido, why are you the way you are?
I am the way I am because ADHD fuels me, and that's why I'm the energetic rat that I am. Hanging around with the homies have also kind of, somewhat, what's the word I'm thinking of? Molded me to be how I am. But regards to, trying to teach people, trying to make people laugh and all that stuff, I have a genuine philosophy that kind of, it made me realize this more when I worked at Olive Garden, and I really enjoy making people happier. Because you never know what's happening in people's lives. For one, I love helping people improve, that's one thing, but the main thing for me is trying to make people feel happier about themselves and giving people a good laugh. It's always the small things that could potentially turn someone's bad day around, and that's why I always do what I do on stream. Now, sometimes I might have a bad day, or I might just be absolutely tilted. Thank you, Inferno, for that. I think the worst time I had stream was, died on Inferno, and I ended stream after raiding someone, or I raged. I was, raging because of, fucking me throwing what could have been sub 53. So, outside of that, because, we're all human, sometimes we get a little angry, and there has to be a hole in the wall. Right, Piers? Maybe a hole or two in the wall? But, at the end of the day, though, I do what I do because, I love you guys. Really, I mean that. You guys, I do this because it's fun, and, just talking to everybody in chat and doing stuff with you guys and meeting new people has always been an experience. But, at the end of the day, I always have that mindset of trying to make people have more of a positive experience. There are so many ways of doing it, and I try to do my best through laughter and just genuine entertainment. Right. I need to do more meme streams. I've just been kind of busy with stuff, but Yeah, meme streams are always a good way to get the giggles out of people. But I love all of you. Thank you guys for all the support.
Right. So I just wanna do this as well. So do you trust me, Sido?
I mean,
Because
yes, I trust
well,
you. But
okay,
I also
right.
trust
So
you not sometimes.
so I'm gonna do a poll, and whatever it says in this poll, you have to do. Right? If there's enough votes, if the votes are positive, you have to do it.
Okay.
All right. So guys, do you remember the Inferno run Sido did with me, and he lost his mind? Do you want another one of those?
No way we're doing another one of those.
yeah. Do you guys want Sido to do another Inferno run?
I can't do it right now. I have plans after this.
Yeah, no. It'll be later on. Right. But I have to get you into one of these runs again.
I have 3 KCs to burn, so I don't give a fuck. You really want to do it? I'm fucking sure.
I'm gonna make you mold so hard.
You fucking dickhead! I hate you so much.
Alright, you know what? It's already yes. So
God fucking damn it!
You're gonna have to prepare at some point. And you know what? With work going on, it's gonna be even worse for you.
Yeah, it's only gonna be worse for the people that play Valorant with you because you fucking always scream, fucking call people dogs. My God.
Oh man. Alright. Well, that concludes the 1,000
Oh shit! PlayPro's in the Discord. Hold on. Yo! My homie PlayPro. I didn't even realize the homeboy's in here. Holy shit. Fucking shout out to PlayPro. I honestly hope that man gets his cape though. Like, for reals. People like PlayPro, people are people that I support. I know there's people that fucking, meme ball people and shit, but whenever anyone's going for grinds, always gotta support the homies. I know he'll get that cape. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the Q&A. That was interesting. Very interesting. Kind of want a Kermit jump after talking to you for so long.
I know, right? I had fun. But on another note, learn how to cook some chicken. It's not that scary.
Hey, oh wait, I just realized. I read Joe's messages now. Hey, yo, unban me, man. Someone banned me. Alright, I think with that said, we will now move on to something that is going to be a learning experience. We're going to try to run something for a couple hours. We're going to do TOA speeds for man 400, which is the current diary time. Sub 21, I think? It's sub 21. So, yeah. Oh, who's the best music producer you know? Joe, you're gonna hate me when I say this. That's all I'm gonna say. It's Vito. You're dog shit at music, Joe. Quit your job. Quit everything. You're dog shit at music. There you go.
Wow. So toxic.
I'm kidding. Favorite. Alright, so, memes aside, Joe does make some pretty cool music. Gave me some pointers as well when I was making some music. Yes, your boy makes music too, but not in the sense of like putting it on SoundCloud and shit. We were making sounds and music for the Warden's Guide. That's how fucking in-depth I went for this fucking video. I made music for it. Need a moment when Q&A is done? He makes shit music, don't listen. Wow. I ate earlier, but I need to see if there's food that's done, Toy. But, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed that Q&A. That was, rather long. And I hope you guys learned something about me, but you didn't before. But thank you, Piers, for being a terrible host.
Thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Well, actually, you're still streaming. But, Sido, you're a rat.
Yeah, fuck off.